Hey, my name is Zach Barber. Welcome to the Lawn Barber. In today's episode of Stars and Stripes, we are going to get with Staff Sergeant Galindo. Watch the mo, but stay for our story. Let's get started.
When I was in basic training, I remember I wrote her a letter and I was like, I made it. And so when I saw her the first time after basic training, it was like such a shock. Like, she went through this, so I'm going through it now. And it was very emotional that day. I can't remember it too well, but I remember just very emotional that day. Well, my name is Staff Sergeant Edna Galindo. I'm originally from Yuma, Arizona, born and raised there, 18 years. Um, I left there right at 18, joined the Army. I had done college courses since I was a sophomore in high school, but once I got towards senior year, I decided that was not for me. And unfortunately, I had tried several different Air Force recruiters, but just many obstacles in life, didn't allow that to happen. So I went with the Army and I met an amazing recruiter who to this day, she still had a huge impact in me because she was a female and, she helped me get myself together. Decided I gotta get out of my small little hometown. And I did it. It was very hard. It took about 6 months. I got kicked back from MEPS 3 times for being overweight. I was 1% body fat each time. So everything that it led up to, the timeline to how it is now, I just think that's how it was supposed to be. She kept working with me. She said, "Let's go for a run," and we kept running until I was 1% over each time. So as soon as I passed, I got in, and there I was. She helped me. She said, "Let's get you a good little diet plan. Let's work." Because each person will tape you differently. So it wasn't, hey, let's just get you one. No, we're gonna get you as down as we can. So that was really it was really helpful, especially from her end. And I think the whole station in general there, they really worked with me. We did hikes, we did runs, everything you can think of. So I went to basic training in 2018. And then as soon as 2019, right after New Year's, I was able to go to Fort Gregg Adams, Virginia. So I did my advanced individual training there for unit supply specialists. I can 1000% say I love being supply. I love being supply, and I don't think many others enjoy their job. I feel like my enjoyment of this job it shows. I I don't always like the process of doing my job, but I do enjoy my job in general, whether it be the turn ins, whether it be ordering stuff, whether it be, anything, especially since I have experienced already 3 different places in such a short amount of time. I've seen the many realms of this job because this job is not, hey, I'm just going to order pens. And I think people tend to have that mindset about supply is, oh, all they do is order pens, right? But there's so much more to it. There's still a lot more accountability and just responsibility that comes from this job because you're essentially the right hand of the commander. So if your property book is $5 million, that's $5 million in your hands because the commander's not going to be. They'll have a part of it, right? But it's not always going to be on them. You're the one responsible for doing the paperwork. You're the one responsible making sure the money is there. You're responsible for making sure that it gets ordered the right way, right? So I can say it's a great responsibility. It's a great responsibility that comes from it. And it's a very rewarding job. So the S4, the PBO, and the actual supply positions, they all have different experiences. The S4 position, you're really the one who's taking those supply sergeants in your wing and making sure they're straight. And I have not had experience with PBO, but I can definitely say, speaking to other people, is PBO is essentially the same thing. It comes with great responsibility, and I think with great responsibility comes great work from it. So I've been blessed, right? So I think as a female, going into the military is already a huge, huge stepping stone. And thankfully, I've been blessed with some amazing female leaders. I was in the S4 shop my first year as a little private, and my S4 in COIC, she was really great. She was the type of leader who she wouldn't tell you everything. She would want you to look in the regulation, and then hey, we'll work it from there. So she was really such a huge impact. And then as soon as I got to New York, my other S4 NCOIC, she really took me under her wing, like, and I still talk to her to this day. She's now a first sergeant in Fort Gregg Adams, and I still talk to her for advice. I reach out to her whenever I need some advice as an NCO, and I think having those female leaders, especially when they look like you, right? So I think as Hispanic and different types of races, it's nice to get like personality differences from everybody, and you see how they work and how they do things. So I think I've been blessed to have some great female leaders. I've honestly met some great, especially not even with my MOS. Some of the other soldiers who, chaplains assistants and mechanics, 42 alphas. I've been able to really take them under my wing, especially as a supply sergeant. I think it's hard, you know, it's a different realm. So you have the S4, you have PBO, you have the SSA, you have many types of different opportunities to grow. And when you put yourself out there in the brigade and in the S shops, you meet some great people. And I've had some great people who I've got to mentor and make sure, hey, let's get you in the right road. So I think that's my goal as an NCO, and to continue on in the NCO Corps is to be that person who was for me. I was once that private who couldn't get things done without trying to find it out from somebody else, right? So I think remaining humble really is a way you can mold others, because if you forget where you came from and you forget the obstacles that you went through, you won't get anywhere as a leader. You have to remain humble at all times, and you definitely have to keep an open mind, because people come from different backgrounds. People come from different mindsets. People come from just overall different thought processes. So I think getting to know the people, getting to know their struggles, getting to know their not just struggles, but how they excel. If you learn how they excel, you definitely learn a lot from people, and you can keep advancing at all times, as long as you know what are my strengths and my weaknesses. It's very different from a normal force com unit. So as a supply, you have a mindset of, okay, this is how supply is done. But when you get to a place like TRADOC, the overall property book process is different. The ways of doing property is just overall different, and the people you interact with are different, because it's 98% civilians, so they have a different set of rules. So to me, one of my strengths is I feel I'm very moldable. I can, hey, this is not the way it was done, and you have to know, hey, this is how it was done before. It may not be done this way now. So you have to be moldable, and you have to be teachable. So you learn something new every day. So as long as you're learning something new every day, that's something that you can take in as a strength. Because if you're just close-minded and you don't allow yourself to be taught every day, then that can definitely become a weakness. I have a cousin who is a major in the Air Force, and really my mom was the one who I kind of sought out from, because she was in the National Guard. She did 8 years in the National Guard. And so my mindset was kind of, hey, if my mom can do it, I can do it, because she joined very late. So I think she was really that who I looked out after, because I said, oh, okay, she did the Army. So even though it was only once a month, it was still like, oh my gosh, my mom is in the military. My mom's going out there, I didn't have an idea of what the Army was when I was probably like 13, 14 years old. But I look back now and I'm like, oh, okay, that's why she did certain things, or that's why she was the way she was. So she was she was only driving up 3 hours once a month, and I don't really I feel like I don't really have a memory of her doing like huge army things. But when I was in basic training, I remember I wrote her a letter and I was like, I made it. And so when I saw her the first time after basic training, it was like such a shock. Like, she went through this, so I'm going through it now, and it was very emotional that day. I can't remember it too well, but I remember just very emotional that day. Just to know what she went through and like how I see it, I've been away from home now going on 6 years, and knowing, she's traveled to California, Canada, it makes me appreciate it a lot more of, hey, she's had to travel out of the country. So it has brought us closer, and it definitely makes you appreciate, hey, it's not easy to leave home.
Are you glad that you joined the Army?
Oh, 100%.
Why?
I would say it would save my life, because I don't know where I would have been if I had stayed home. I think I've grown overall as a person and as a woman, being by yourself, bought my first home, bought my first car. It was hard as a young woman. So I think that just having the ability to grow as an NCO, grow as a person, grow as a human being, that teaches you a lot. And I'm thankful for the opportunities I've gotten in the Army. There's going to be hard days, there's going to be easy days, there's going to be sad days, but I think allowing God to control my life and keeping my faith has really been the biggest thing. Is It's not always going to be easy, but there's a promise at the end. So let's just keep going, and be teachable, be moldable, and remain humble at all times. And essentially, don't be afraid to stand up for yourself, and don't be afraid to speak up, because I think as a female, sometimes we try to close up a little bit and, oh, I'm just, I can't say that, or it's not going to look right. I think if you don't allow others to dictate your career, you will definitely get far. So I would definitely say try out college first, because I sometimes wish I would have done that. However, knowing now that I have no college debt, I have no loans, for education, I can definitely say I would recommend it 100%, because whether you do 3 years or you do 20 years, you'll get something out of the Army.
All right, that wraps up today's episode. Thanks for watching. Please consider subscribing. I'll see you next time.